Well, lots going on right now regarding the war in Iran. There are a lot of economists out there saying that, hey, we need to prepare. We could be looking at an economic tumble in the very near future. And quite frankly, we're all seeing an increase at the gas pump right now. I know that ours went up here in Arizona, but the Trump administration is assuring us that all of this is temporary. Is it? Well, I guess all of that's to be determined, but I really want to let you guys know what we're looking at, because our economy could very well take a nosedive if this war goes and goes and goes and ends up elongating. But let's start first with what's going on at the Strait of Hormuz, because that's what is going to play a critical role. Look, most of our oil, a whole lot of it, I believe it's even over 20%, but there's good chunks of it, I want to say it's higher, that go through the Strait of Hormuz. And there have been ships afraid to go through. It has been kind of a slow trickle, if you even want to call it that. But there's lots of stumbling blocks with Iran that are happening right now with the Strait of Hormuz. Obviously, this is one of their war talking points, if you will. But needless to say, Donald Trump and his administration have taken precautions on all of that. Take a look at this. And this is on gcaptain.com. Washington moves to break Hormuz shipping paralysis with a $20 billion maritime insurance plan. The Trump admin on Friday unveiled a $20 billion maritime reinsurance facility aimed at restoring confidence in commercial shipping through the Persian Gulf, moving to operationalize a federal insurance backstop proposed earlier this week as missile and drone attacks and insurance withdrawals trigger a collapse in vessel traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. The plan, announced by the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation in coordination with the U.S. Department of Treasury, would provide reinsurance coverage, including war risk for vessels operating in the Gulf during the escalating conflict with Iran. According to these officials, the facility will insure losses of up to approximately $20 billion on a rolling basis and will initiate focus on coverage for hull and machinery as well as cargo. In a statement announcing the plan, the DFC Chief Executive Officer Ben Black said the program's designed to help restore the flow of global energy shipments through one of the world's most critical maritime choke points. So there you have it. So what the Trump administration is saying is basically, if you run into any issues over there, we'll refund whatever happens, kind of like an insurance quality that the U.S. is given. Obviously, there's lots of pushback from Iran, to say the least. And here's the other thing about, I believe it's 40% of, our what we need for fertilizers, that nitrogen, also go through the Strait of Hormuz. So as I pointed out in the other day's report that I did here on Lisa Report, it's also having a repercussion on our food supply directly because our farmers rely on that for fertilization, right? So we've got that happening at the Strait of Hormuz as well. So these are two things you really need to prepare for because prices could be going up, at least for a time. Now check out this article. This was just published today, by the way, March 9th. This is in Lloyd's List. The week in charts. Traffic trickles through the Strait of Hormuz. Liner exodus accelerates as Middle East services are crippled. 4 vessels tracked sailing through the Strait of Hormuz on March 3rd, 2 with AIS off. Global container carriers, including MSC, COSCO, and CGM, accelerated their withdrawal from the Middle East Gulf trades as security conditions around the Strait of Hormuz deteriorate, and China markets are in a shipping-led frenzy on Hormuz closure fears and war risk disruption. So a lot of disruptions still happening. Some are trickling through, and that's saying that with a grain of salt. Meanwhile, out just yesterday, we've got about a 17% increase in gas already as a result of the war. This is the Gateway Pundit. Oil prices have skyrocketed 17% plus, crossing $100 barrel amid Iran escalation. President Trump fires back short-term pain for long-term peace. And I hope to God he's right. They do have a plan in place, and I'm going to get into that because, hey, if there's any hope to be seen in this, is that. But oil prices explode over 17% on Sunday, blasting past the $100 per barrel mark for the first time since the early days of Trump's decisive strikes against the Iranian regime. And keep in mind, it's still lower than what it was under Barack Obama. But anyway, West Texas Intermediate WTI crude jumped 16.2% to $102.45 a barrel, while Brent Brent crude, the international standard, spiked 15.8% to 105.67. According to Google Finance, global oil supplies are currently failing approximately 20 million barrels per day short of requirements due to the conflict. Regional producers like Kuwait and Iraq have curtailed output, with Iraqi production reportedly falling by about 70% in key fields as shipping risk escalates. So basically what this is saying is we're upside down 20 million barrels per day. That's how short we are. And that is why this is wreaking so much havoc here in the United States and even abroad, right? There's also this scoop: U.S. dismayed by Israel-Iran's fuel strikes. So here's the deal. Israel goes and strikes fuel in Iran, and Donald Trump's like, what the heck are you doing? We need the fuel. Why the hell would you do that? Which, I'm with Donald Trump on this. That was a stupid idea. What the hell were they thinking? You already know that we're hurting for oil, and this is what you're going to do. But here's the scoop. According to Axios, right? The U.S. is concerned Israeli strikes on infrastructure that serves ordinary Iranians could backfire strategically, rallying Iranian society to support the regime and driving up oil prices. The Israeli Air Force's Saturday strikes created large fires in Tehran, igniting flames visible for miles and blanketing the capital in heavy smoke. And by the way, the fact that it's doing that has many citizens actually in Iran very concerned, and rightly so, because Lord only knows what they're breathing in. The IDF claimed in a statement that the fuel depots are used by the Iranian regime to supply fuel to different consumers, including their military organs. An Israeli military official said the strikes were intended in part to tell Iran to stop targeting their civilian infrastructure. Well, behind the scenes, of course, right, Israel and U.S. officials said the IDF notified the military ahead of the strikes, but U.S. officials said that the U.S. military was surprised how wide-ranging they were. They didn't think this was a good idea, and basically the message from U.S. to Israel is like, what the F, right? The White House and the IDF did not comment. While the facilities that were struck are not oil production facilities, U.S. officials are concerned the footage of burning depots could spook oil markets and push energy prices even higher. And that is the main concern there. Because if you've got all that going on and people are already afraid with what's going on to the Strait of Hormuz, add this fuel to the fire, literally, you're going to cause more oil tensions. Now, like I said at the beginning of this, Donald Trump does have a plan, and I hope that that this is a great plan and it works, but they're telling us that they do. The Gateway pundit, White House official Jared Agan, reveals admin's plan to get all of the oil out of the hands of the terrorists. I guess that's the goal, one of the goals of the war with Iran. White House official Jared Agan dropped a bombshell during an appearance on Fox News. Agan, serving as deputy assistant to the president and executive director of the National Energy Dominance Council, laid out the admin long-term strategy to wrestle control out of Iran's massive oil reserves from the clutches of radical Islam terrorists. According to Agan, the turmoil currently rattling global energy markets is a short-term cost that will ultimately deliver a strategic victory for the U.S. and its allies. This is a long-term gain because what we want to do is get such massive oil reserves in Iran out of the hands of terrorists, he said. What we're going to experience here in the short term is highly outweighed by the long-term benefit, because ultimately we're not going to have to worry about these issues in the Strait of Hormuz because we're going to get all of the oil out of the hands of the terrorists. So that is exactly what they're talking about here. And by the way, just to confirm my earlier statement, the waterway is about 20% of the world passes through that. 20% of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz. So that's where we're at. Right? So things are touch and go. There's a lot that I'm sharing with you in today's report that the mainstream media isn't sharing with you. That's why it's so important to follow channels like mine. Make sure you're subscribed and have that all bell button checked. Otherwise, you may not get the notifications on channels like mine. But I'm going to keep you guys in to date what's going on. Again, I think we need to prepare, at least in the short term, for something, because it seems that is what everybody is telling us to do. But with all of that, I really want to see you guys over at restrictedrepublic.com. I created this in light of everything that is going on. I have exclusive videos that I'm sharing here, and I want to encourage you, go there. I've got information that we're not sharing anywhere, and it comes with a 14-day free trial. So get it today. Go to restrictedrepublic.com and check us out there. Anyhow, with all of that, I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.